It is nothing to do with me. That is somebody else I'd like to talk about. Now, behind these imposing iron gates lies Trinity College, which was established in 1555 by Sir Thomas Pope, Privy Councillor to King Henry VIII and a close friend of Sir Thomas More. The chapel, you can see from here, has a story that relates back to 1966. Now, at that time, the organ had just been completely rebuilt, and a service was held to celebrate this expensive restoration. The chapel was filled with an excited congregation whose voices rang out during the first hymn. They were delighted with the sound filling the chapel from the organ. But after this first hymn, a curious off-key wailing sound was heard. What in heaven's name was it? It was making it impossible to hear the Bible reading. The dean decided to investigate. He crept around the chapel trying to locate the source of this sound, and, well, yes, it appeared to be coming from the organ itself. But that was impossible. Had it not just been completely rebuilt? The answer soon became all too clear when he found the organist collapsed over the keyboard, dead, having suffered a fatal heart attack. Now, this tragedy started rumors of a malevolent presence within the chapel. Who knows if there is any truth to these rumors? But a more positive sighting of a ghost was had not many years earlier by the verger, a Mr. Harry Hope, who had just unlocked the chapel early one summer's morning in 1959. There was nothing particularly unusual about this morning. He was planning on dusting the pews as usual. He was in good spirits. The sun was streaming through the leaded windows, and all seemed well with the world. Just then, the clock struck 10. Just as the last peal rang out, something made Harry look up. And there, standing directly in front of him, just 10 feet away, was the apparition of a woman dressed in black, smiling straight at him. Later, he said there was nothing at all ghostly about the figure. At first, I thought it was a real person, but then I realized it couldn't be. I'd only just unlocked the chapel doors. Her body was simply black, but it was her face I gazed at. It was beautiful and smiling, and I could see every detail. We both stood quite still, and I looked at her for about a minute, and all the time she smiled. I started to move a pace or two closer to her, and as I did so, I took my eyes off of her a second just to check my footing. And when I looked up again, she'd simply disappeared. There was nothing in front of me but the empty chapel. Well, I was overcome by the experience, but as I calmed down, I was aware of the nagging feeling that I half recognized the figure in some way. Although it did not look like anyone I'd ever met before, I recognized its manner and features in some strange way. When I got home, I looked at the photograph of my dead mother, whom I'd never known, and I suddenly realized who the figure was. It was her. We will now make our way down into the very heart of Old Oxford, but before we do so, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to point out one building to you, and that is the building just lit up in the sun there, the circular building, the Sheldonian Theatre, which was incidentally designed by Sir Christopher Wren when he was still a teenager. I can almost guarantee he was bullied at school. Now, just to the right of that building, set back from the road, is the old Ashmolean Museum, and in the basement of that building there was an anatomy school. Unfortunately, there was always a great shortage of bodies, so if you had been hanged in Oxford, your troubles may well have not quite been over. For no sooner had you finished twitching at the end of the rope, when there was a very good chance you would have been carted off down into the basement of that building, and you would have been sliced and diced, all in the name of medical research. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will now make our way, as I say, into the very heart of Old Oxford, where we shall meet Old Nick. And when I say Old Nick, I'm not talking about Father Christmas. Follow me.